Hey there, fifth graders. Welcome back. Module 2, Lesson 12 for today. And we're doing more multiplying a decimal and a multi-digit whole number and using that reasoning and estimation to help us understand where our product should be. So let's get started with that first problem. All right, guys. Number 1, they want us to do estimation and then solve using that standard algorithm. We can draw an area model, but we're going to skip that so we have more practice doing standard algorithm. So we got 1 and 21 hundredths. That is closer to one whole than it is two wholes, so it's going to be 1. And 14, you know what? We don't even need to round 14. If we know that this is going to be 1, then let's just keep this 14 the same because we can easily say 1 times 14 is 14. And since I round this number down, that means when I multiply these two numbers, our answer should be higher than 14. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of that decimal in 1 and 21 hundredths. So think about 1 and 21 hundredths. We can multiply it by 100 to get that decimal all the way behind the second one. So that would give me 121. And then we're going to multiply that by 14. 121 times 14. So we got 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And then 4 times 100 is 4. So our first partial product is 484. Crossing off the 1s and 14. And I'm doing a 0 placeholder, so my answer starts in the 1s or the 10s column. And then the 110 should be an easy number to multiply. Everything's going to be the same in 121. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 1 is 1. Now we're ready to add. So we have 4, 9, 6, 1. And so let's think about this. Our answer cannot be 1,694 because our answer needs to be around 14. So since we multiplied over here by 100, we have to actually divide our answer by 100, do the opposite, which means that this 4 needs to be in the hundredths column. Here is the tenths, so our decimal needs to be placed in between the 6 and the 9. So we have 16 and 94 hundredths. That's more reasonable. That's closer to 14. So I'm going to say that this is a good product for our problem. All right, so moving down to B, we have 2 and 45 hundredths. Now that's kind of very close to the middle of 2 and 3. If it was 2 and 50 hundredths, that would be actually right in the middle. So 2 and 45 hundredths is closer to 2 wholes. We're going to round down. And then 305 is obviously closer to 300. So if you take this, 300 times 2, our answer should be close to 600. And so we're going to go ahead and say, okay, get rid of that decimal in 2 and 45 hundredths by multiplying it by 100. And that's going to give us 245. So we're going to take 245 and we're going to multiply it by 305. And then remember that this 0 is going to allow us to only have 2 partial products and not 3 because there's no value in the tens. So we're going to do 5 times 5 is 25. So 2 on top, 5 on the bottom in the first partial product. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 more is 22. And then 5 times 2, that would give us 10 plus 2 more, that would give us 12. And so now we are done multiplying by the 1s in 305. Cross off the numbers on top. We're not doing the tens because there's no value. We're going to skip that. So we're going to start in the hundreds. That means our answer needs to start underneath the first 2. We need 2 0 placeholders. And now we can go ahead and get started by multiplying. 3 times 5 is 15. Take the 1 on top, bring down the 5. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. Carry your 1, bring down your 3. And 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So let's go ahead and add those up. We got 5, 2, 7, 4, 7. So technically this is 74,725, which is way too big than our estimation of 600. So what do we have to do? We have to then go ahead and divide by 100 since we multiplied the 2 and 45 hundredths by 100. We're going to do the opposite. So and hopefully you know that the place value where the 5 is, that's the hundredths, and that place value where the 2 is the tenths. So that means our decimal needs to be placed in between the 7 and the 2. So it's 747 and 25 hundredths. This is our answer. Let's see if it's close to our estimation. It's a lot closer than it was 74,725. So, and we should know that since we rounded both numbers down to 2 and 300, this should be bigger than 600. And it's close. It's not super close, but it's at least better than what we have here with 74,000. So that is our answer. And let's go to the next page. So number 2, same thing. We're going to estimate and then solve using standard algorithm. Now on this page, we're not going to do all of them, but notice that they don't give you a whole lot of space they did on the first page. So we're going to make sure that we try to write small and squeeze it in neatly into the space provided for us. All right, we're going to go ahead and round 1 3/10 to the nearest whole number. That's closer to 1 than it is to 2. And 26, you know what? We don't need to round 26 because we know that 1 times any number is the same number. So 1 times 26 is 26. Our estimation is going to be around 26. And since I rounded this down, our actual number is going to be higher. Our product is going to be higher than 26. So now we're going to say, how do I get rid of that decimal in 1 3/10? Well, I'm going to times it by 10 because that's going to move the 3 and the 1 over to the left one place value. And that's going to give us 13. And now I can go ahead and multiply 13 times 26. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1, bring down the 8. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So our first partial product is 78. Crossing off the 6 in 26 and crossing the numbers off on top. Remembering it is 0 placeholder and I'm starting in the tens column. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. And I'm going to go ahead and add those together quickly. You got 8, 7 plus 6 is 13, so you're going to bring down your 3 and regroup the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we have 338, but remember it needs to be close to 26. And what we need to do is the opposite of multiply by 10. We need to now divide by 10, which means we're going to put the 8 in the tenths place. That means our decimal point needs to go in between the 3 and the 8. So we get an answer of 33 and 8/10, which is definitely higher than 26, but reasonable because it needs to be around 26 compared to what we got, 338. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just move down to D. Now you got 45 hundredths, and that's actually close to 0 than it is to 1. But the reason why I'm going to say it's going to be rounded to 1 because I don't want our estimation to be 0. So I'm going to say, okay, 45 hundredths is close to 1 whole. And then 26 is obviously going to be 26, or our estimation's 26. Now let's think about this. Since I rounded 45 hundredths up to 1, when I multiply 45 hundredths times 26, our real product is going to be smaller than 26. I'm going to get rid of my decimal in 45 hundredths, so I'm going to multiply that by 100. And when I do 45 hundredths times 100, that will give me 45. And I'm going to take 45 now, and I'm going to now multiply it by 26. and get my two partial products. 6 times 5 is 30, so take your 3 up on top, bring down your 0. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 more, that's 27. So our first partial product is done. Cross off the 1s and 26 and the number up on top. 0 placeholder, and I'm starting with the 10s. So 2 times 5 is 10. Carry your 1, bring down your 0. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. So let's go ahead and add those quickly up. We get 0, 7, and then 2 plus 9 is 11. And so 1,170 is definitely bigger than 26. So we have to remember, hey, let's go ahead and divide by 100 since we multiplied 4,500s out by 100. And then since it's dividing by 100, this is going to be the hundredths, this is going to be in the tenths. So our decimal point is going to go in between the 1 and the 7. So we get 11 and 70 hundredths. 11 and 70 hundredths is smaller than 26, and it's closer to 26 compared to 1,170. So this would be a good product for our based off our estimation. All right, now dropping down to F. Let's do F. We've got 6 and 32 hundredths. That's going to be closer to 6 wholes. And 223, well, that's going to be closer to 200. So we have 6 times 2, that's going to give you 12, and you're going to add the 2 zeros and 200 to have the estimation of 1,200. You're going to take 6 and 32 hundredths, you're going to multiply it by 100, so we can get rid of the decimal to make it 632. You're going to take 632, and now you're going to multiply it by 223. You're going to have 3 partial products because there's 3 digits in 223 and they all have a value. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 6 is 18. There's our first partial product. Crossing off the 1s and 223, putting a 0 placeholder, and starting with the 2 10s and 223. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 6 is 12. I'm done with the tens, and now I'm doing the hundreds, so our answer is going to start underneath the 8 and the 6, 2 0 placeholders. And since, once again, this is a 2, and we already multiplied by a 2 in 223, I'm just going to take the 4, the 6, the 2, and the 1, and just write them in the third partial product. So I have 4, 6, 2, 1. Now I need to add those up quickly. I get 6 ones. 9 plus 4, that's 13. I'm going to carry a 1 over and bring down a 3. And so now I have 8, 6, 4, and 1. Well, I know 6 and 4 is 10, plus 8 is 18, plus 1 more is 19. So it's 9, regroup the 1. And then I have 1, 2, 6, and 1. So I know 2 and 6 is 8, plus 1 more is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So it's going to be a 0. Regroup the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 1, that's going to give us 4, and we have 1. Now we're going to divide by 100 and do the opposite, which means that this is the hundredths and this is the tenth, and so our decimal point goes between the 9 and the 3. So we get 1,409 and 36 hundredths. And so this is closer to our estimate of 1,200, and since we rounded both these numbers down, this has to be bigger than 1,200. So it looks like this might be a good product. All right, let's tackle some word problems. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 says, Denise walks on the beach every afternoon. In the month of July, she walked 3 4/45 miles each day. Question says, how much or how far did Denise walk during the month of July? So I'm going to circle in July, and we got to figure out how many days, so how far does she walk in July? A couple background information that I need to know. You might be wondering, well, I'm not sure how many days are in July. I'll give you the hint. There's 31 days in July. So we're going to take 3 and 45 hundredths and we're going to multiply that by 31. So let's do a quick little estimation to say, hey, what should our answer be about? 3 and 45 hundredths, okay, that's going to be close to 3 than it is to 4. And we're going to multiply it by 31, which is going to be closer to 30. And so you can see that our estimation should be about 90. And since I rounded both of the numbers down, our number is going to be higher than 90. I'm going to go ahead and now say, hey, I have to get rid of the decimal in 345, and I'm going to multiply that by 100. And 3 and 45 hundredths times 100 would be 345. And now I can go ahead and find out 345, multiply that by 31. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3. That's an easy multiplication for first partial product. Cross off the ones, 0 placeholder, and now you're ready to do the 3 tens. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12, add 1 more is 13. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So let's add those up quickly. We have 5, 9, 6, 0, 1. And now we need to know that we have to divide our answer by 100 so that the 5s and the hundredths, the 9s and the tenths. So that means our answer is going to be 106 and 95 hundredths. So this is close to 90, and it's higher since we rounded our numbers down. And now we got to squeeze a sentence in somewhere, the best that you can. How far did Denise walk during the month of July? Denise walked 106 and 95 hundredths miles in July. So once again, here's our sentence written out with our answer in it. Denise walked 106 and 95 hundredths. Make sure you have miles. Otherwise, you're not describing what this number is. And then I put in July. Or you can say each day in July. But once again, you know a sentence is included or needed whenever we do any word problem. That way we are answering the question that they're asking to us in a complete sentence. All right, here we go for another one. Number 4. A gallon of gas cost $4.34. Greg puts 12 gallons of gas in his car. He has a $50 bill. They want us to tell how much money Greg will have left, or how much money will he need. They want us to show our calculations. So we need to figure out if he has enough money or if he needs to owe more money since he wants to put 12 gallons of gas into his car. So we're just going to start with this simple problem of $4.34, and we're going to multiply it by the 12 gallons. And so let's do a quick little estimation. $4.34, you know what, that's close to $4. And then 12, you know what, we could say it's closer to 10, which it is, but I think I'm going to keep 12 by itself because I know that 4 times 12 would give me 48. So here's our estimation, $48. And let's think about this. Since I rounded this number down to $4, our answer is going to be higher than 48. So I'm thinking if it's going to be higher, then he's going to owe some money. He's not going to have enough money. So let's go ahead and solve, show our calculations. So we got $4 and $34, and we want to get rid of that decimal, so we're going to multiply it by 100 to get 434. And now I'm going to go ahead and do 434, and I'm going to times it by 12. 2 partial products is what I'm going to get before I get my final answer. So 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 4 is 8 again. That was an easy partial product. Cross off the ones. I need a 0 placeholder, and then I'm doing the 110. This one should be easy too. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4 again. Add that up. So we get 8 ones, 6 plus 4 is 10, so 0 and regroup the 1. Then you got 8 plus 3 plus 1. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. Carry your 1, and then 4 plus 1 is 5. We want to divide this by 100 to get the actual decimal, or money, since we're talking about money in this word problem. And the decimal needs to go in between the 2 and the 8. So it's $52.08. So just like we said, it is higher. This is higher than our estimation of 48, and it's close to 48. So we know we're on a good track. So he doesn't have enough money. How much money does he need? And so some of you are like, I know it's $2.08, but they want us to show all of our calculations. So this one's going to be an easy one, because we're going to say, okay, $52.08. When you take away the $50 that he has, the bill that he has in his pocket, how much money does he need? So you're going to quickly subtract. 8 minus 0 is 0, 0, point, decimal point, 2 ones, and then there's no tens. So this calculation shows, by you doing the subtraction, this is how much money he needs. All right? And then let's go ahead and answer their question. How much money will he need? And you're going to write your sentence out in an empty spot. So squeezing your sentence somewhere, write something very similar to Greg will need $2.08 more. Notice that the dollar sign is needed, or you write the word dollars after your number. More to put 12 gallons of gas in his car, period. So make sure you have a complete sentence to answer their question. And after you're done with that, that concludes this lesson number 12. And I will see you on the next one.